Overall, nothing much to talk about regarding the game, but what there is, of course, to talk about as we welcome Julien Laurens back to the show. Jules, Gonzalo Higuain looks like he's going to Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly, Dan. There's reports from well-informed people in Italy saying tonight that Juventus, who still own the player who was only on loan at Milan, and Chelsea have found an agreement for the transfer of Gonzalo Higuain. It will be a loan until the end of the season. And with the possibility of extending that loan for another season, so 2019-2020, for next season, depending on Gonzalo Higuain's performances with Chelsea between now and the end of the season, which is exactly what Chelsea wanted. Shouldn't be too costly apart from the hefty wages that Higuain was on in Italy already. But also Chelsea believe that Michy Batshuayi, which is likely to go to Monaco, will leave. So will Alvaro Morata. And Higuain was the first choice, the only choice that Maurizio Sarri wanted to strengthen his squad, reinforce his team and be the striker that he's been needed all season so far.
Of course, under Sarri, which Higuain had that exceptional season a couple of years ago. We've talked about this, haven't we, in the last couple of days, a lot about the finances and how this is all going to work out. Overall, though, just from a playing perspective, does this make sense for Chelsea?
Huge, absolutely. Particularly in the predicament that they find themselves with a failed international striker as the main target man in Alvaro Morata, and it's been a disaster. A disaster way beyond any of us could have envisaged, because he actually, the fella's a good player. But he's had a crisis of confidence, and what they're going to get now is a natural goal scorer. And two things. One is the pressure's going to come on from the teams chasing for fourth spot.
Yep.
So clearly that's going to be a big help there. And two, to roll off the back of what Jules was saying, is that it's somewhat a shot in the arm for Sarri, because, you know, clearly, whilst the Pulisic signing was something that was a bit of a surprise, this clearly is something that the manager wants.
Yeah.
So he's obviously pushed this with the Chelsea hierarchy, and they've said, OK, we'll try and get this done for you. And I think from a managerial point of view, had they not pushed the boat out to get this done for Sarri, that would have been a worry for me from the manager's perspective.
Higuain is a polarising figure, particularly in Argentina, given some of those misses on the biggest stage regarding the World Cup. Is he going to be OK? Is he going to get the goals that Chelsea won and they're going to pay this sort of money for?
I think so. And when you look at Gonzalo Higuain and his performances, it always... He failed, well, not failed, but he had a similar set of misses for Real Madrid. You could probably make the same argument for Juventus. But then when you look at how good he was with Napoli in particular, I think coming into a team like Chelsea, where it doesn't have the pressure of a Real Madrid, Gonzalo Higuain will be simply outstanding. I don't think anybody questions how good a finisher he is. It's maybe just his composure on the biggest of stages.
How do you think he's going to get on, Jules?
I think it'd be very interesting to see the dynamic between him and whoever plays wide for Chelsea, Hazard and Pedro Willian on the other side. I think, obviously, Higuain knows perfectly how Sarri's teams are playing, and Sarri knows exactly what to do to get Higuain scoring. Like, as you mentioned earlier, they had an incredible season together, the last season of Higuain at Napoli, and it was fantastic. So I think Higuain will fit perfectly in what Sarri wants to do, although the Chelsea Sarri is not as good as the Napoli Sarri where Higuain played in, obviously, yet. But I think it makes sense, like Craig said, for so many reasons.
However, I understand the Sarri link-up and how people refer to that and how it worked in the past, but these are 10 different players who are playing alongside in the Napoli, though. Is it a bit too simplistic to say, well, he did it for Sarri at Napoli, he's going to do it for Sarri at Chelsea?
No, but I think look, you never know, but I think, look, the bar's quite low. He's only got to have a half-decent finish of the season at Chelsea to be better than what's there. Look, the way that they play, it's not... Some people think it's rocket science. It's not. You play a 4-3-3. As Jules said, you've got the wide players, whoever the personnel is. And I think from somebody like Higuain's perspective, he's not... we know he's not the fittest professional in the world. That's never been his forte. Running the channels is not his forte. But I don't think Chelsea are looking for him to do that. I think they're looking for him to play in a certain area. I think they're looking to leave their wide guys and their midfield guys to get on with it. And they're just looking for the intricate movement against teams that play deep against Chelsea, where Hazard can pick that little pass out and Higuain can pull off the back of defenders, and the movement's clever and they get the ball in the box, and the ratio to opportunities to finishing end product is much better than what it is now. Because Chelsea have created a lot of chances. They've had a lot of possession, sometimes too much possession. If you ask Chelsea fans, at times it's been possession for the sake of it. And I think now with him up front, they know the quicker they get it in the box with the better quality, they've got a guy who can finish. So, look, don't expect him to be the greatest link-up player in the world. Don't expect him to be doing an Olivier Giroud role and rustling about with defenders, but expect him to be deadly when they get that ball in the box, because that's what they're paying the money for.
Meanwhile, you mentioned Alvaro Morata. Jules, quickly, he's going to Atletico Madrid. That's the suggestion, isn't it? Certainly in Spain.
Yes, it is, and it seems that the two clubs are already talking about the fee, potential fee, and Morata fancies going to Atletico Madrid. There's also a possibility maybe that he would go back to Italy, where he had a successful time with Juventus. His wife is Italian as well, so that would make sense. And Chelsea, clearly, if they sign Higuain, is because they know that they will find a club for Morata, because they can't keep Morata on their books after signing Higuain.